Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride in introducing the greatest show on earth.
Hi, everybody. This is Scott Gordon, and welcome to the Uncle Floyd podcast number 78. We're going to have a lot of fun today, and we're going to have some music by Uncle Floyd, and I'm going to answer a whole bunch of questions. You guys really came through with it for me this week. All right, I just want to remind you, if you want to send questions in, just send them by email to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. We're going to answer those questions that we've received up to this point and get into it right away. It's about 3:25 on Friday, June 19th, 2026. And let's listen to the Vivino Brothers Band with Uncle Floyd on piano as they finish up our theme. All right, we're going to get right into the questions right now. From Dennis DeLeo. At the height of the show's popularity, there was a real Uncle Floyd show mania. Were you guys ever in a position at a live event where you felt the crowd might get overzealous and out of hand? No, we never did. We never had that problem. We had a problem privately at the studio once. This was at the 980 West Market Street during syndication in Newark, New Jersey. And a guy who was a fan of the show that we knew about, he was a taxi driver from Brooklyn, New York, kept coming around to the studio. And one day, the guard at the studio, whose name was Ulysses, told this guy, he said, "Look, you can't come in." He says, "But I want to come in. I want to see Uncle Floyd." Ulysses said, "No, you can't come in." He says, "Well, I'll get my gun and I'll come in." So Ulysses locked the door, closed the door, locked the door as this guy walked away, and went and called the Newark Police Department. And the guys came and arrested him. He didn't have a gun, but he threatened a gun, and he was put away for a little while. That was the only real problem we ever had that I remember, other than a couple of things at the Channel 68 studio in West Orange. There was a guy who parked in our parking lot, blocked the parking lot to go to the Creation Club next door. He wanted to fight, but he was drunk, and 5 of us came at him, and he kind of went away. Look, Floyd was a tough guy. He was raised in Patterson. My father was a cop, and I learned self-protection. And a couple of the other guys were kind of tough, too, so we could take care of ourselves. It wasn't that much of a problem. From Pocono Joe, I have no idea why it's stuck in my head all these years or even why I found it funny, but once there was a picture of you on the wall and it said, "Hey, buddy, want some toast?" Well, the toast thing went on for a long time, Joe. It came down to the fact that I left my wallet home once, and after a taping, we went down to the diner in West Orange to have a little bits to eat after we had a full day of taping. We did 5 full half-hour shows. And I had no money. I had the change that was in my pocket and was in the dashboard of my car, which I could only buy a cup of coffee, and that was it. So I ordered a cup of coffee, and all the other guys were getting steak and eggs and ham and eggs and all sorts of other stuff. And I turned to Muggsy. I said, "Muggsy, you going to eat the toast?" He says, "No, here, take it." So everybody started giving me their toast. I had a whole pile of toast in front of me, and I ate it all because I was hungry. It came down to the fact that they started making fun of me with, "Hey, buddy, got some toast?" And there was even a sketch called The Toast Busters that we did at one time. It was a whole slew of jokes about me and toast, and that's where it came from. I like toast anyway. Who drew the picture? I don't remember. There were actually a lot of those, so I wouldn't be able to figure out exactly which one it was, Joe. From Charlotte Quinn, I have questions about the puppets on the show. Who created the Bones Boy character? Bones Boy was a little container of little ball candies, sort of like the ball sprinkles you put on ice cream and stuff like that. And it was inside this little skeleton bottle to give away at Halloween time. And someone painted one up and gave it to Floyd. I don't know exactly who it was who painted it the first time. That's where Bones Boy came from. Who created Dancing Cuppy? That was Muggsy. Muggsy came up with Cuppy. Cuppy was a doll. It was I don't know what kind of doll it was, a baby doll that was, had arms and legs that you could pose. So Muggsy took it apart and put strings in it so it was all loose and put a cup on the head with a small set of Groucho glasses, the nose with the glasses, and that was Cuppy. How about Mrs. Brillowhead? Mrs. Brillowhead was made by a fan. I don't remember who it was. I think it was the same person who made the heavy heads for the Mr. Frogers sketch. But I don't remember exactly who made it. And what about me? Did you have any puppeteer duty for any other puppets besides Anita the Sun Goddess? Yeah. When we did Love Bug and the puppet theater thing, where they sang Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy songs to each other that were speeded up, Floyd was Love Bug. Love Bug was a marionette. Was the hand puppet. It was a little rubber-headed hand puppet. That was that. We also did other puppets at times for Mr. Dill and a few things like that. My favorite? I don't know. I don't think I had a favorite. I did that because I had to do it. I enjoyed doing puppetry. I actually did ventriloquism when I was a kid. And Charlotte says, if there was a Stanley Cup for comedy, the Uncle Floyd Show would have won it over and over, in my opinion. Well, Charlotte, the New York Comedy League, I think it was in 1979 or 1980, came and gave Uncle Floyd the Comedy of the Year award. So I guess that did happen. From John and Mary, Spring Lake Heights. Did the show have an elaborate wardrobe department? Did the cast bring their own duds for the bits? Yeah, we brought our own stuff. We had no wardrobe department. There was nobody who made that stuff. I got a lot of the things out, like Goodwill and things like that. Some of it I brought new. Where are your Mr. Brown Jeans overalls? Chuck's little hat, the ukulele, and Vic's helmet. They're all here. They're all within about 10 feet of me. As a matter of fact, Mr. Brown Jeans are hanging on the wall, coming down the stairs into my studio. Okay, this is from Jeff Clementi. He says, hello, Scott. I have a few questions about Diane, if you don't mind answering. I'm not going to answer any questions about Diane. Why am I Diane?
No.
Okay. Did she ever appear on any of the Uncle Floyd TV shows or just in the live performances?
I think at the very beginning when you were in Eagle Rock Avenue, I was in a couple.
You were in 3.
Okay. And I was in several live shows as well.
You were actually interviewed by Joe Frankfurter at one point.
God, I don't remember that one.
He'd like to know, what characters of mine are your favorites?
I like Chuck Little Hat.
Which is like what I'm like at home.
Without the hat. And I love Mr. Babble, just because I keep trying to figure out what he's saying.
And finally...
And, of course, Officer McManamy, because that was a shout-out to my mom.
Well, that was going to be the answer to the next question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And finally, did she inspire the creation of any characters you portrayed?
Okay, I jumped the gun on that one.
All right, Jeff, I hope that answers your questions. And by the way, after the third bit that Diane did on the show, Floyd said to me, don't invite her down anymore to do sketches. She's too funny. So, what can I say? Unfortunately, all that stuff was before 1979 when I had a personal video recorder. I don't have any of it, and it was all erased by the station. We reused the tapes over and over again. This is from Matthew Vigorita, Patterson, New Jersey. Were other shows being taped at the studios while you taped yours? Of course. These were production facilities. They were not owned by the Uncle Floyd Show. There were lots of stuff going. If so, what were they? Were any popular? At Channel 68, we had several foreign language programs. We had Maria Papadopoulos. We had the Hungarian Melody Hour, which was a half hour long. We had a couple of Polish shows. We had some Spanish shows. They were all being taped, and I'm sure they all had their own audiences. There were also news programs. There was Channel 68 News with Bob Fassbender. Gene Inger did a Wall Street Report. So there were a lot of stuff going on, and New Jersey Network had their own productions. So did OBC, and so did Cablevision. So there were a lot of things.
We interrupt the program in progress to bring you this slightly veiled attempt at cheap, pseudo-informational broadcasting. And now, here is reporter Rogue.
I have, live on the telephone from the 1994 Woodstock Music and Art Festival, Johnny Melanie Wagon.
Well, hi, Rogue. Yeah, it's good to talk to you, man.
So, how's Woodstock going?
Huh? No, man, no, don't play with my head. Woodstock isn't going anywhere. We're just sitting here on this farm doing stuff.
No, Johnny, I mean, how are the groups?
Groups?
The bands?
Oh, no, man, no, I didn't come here for the groups.
You didn't? Why not?
Really, you can hear the bands a lot better on the radio or on a CD. That's not why I came here.
Then why did you spend all that money to go to the most overpriced musical festival of all time?
Don't you realize this is the largest, most comprehensive grouping of portisans in history?
Portisans?
Yep, the music just echoes so great in there, and I intend to personally visit each and every one of them.
And use them?
Yep, but that's where the problem is.
What do you mean?
Well, you can't bring any of your own food onto the grounds, you know?
I don't think I like where this is going.
So I spent the past 3 weeks visiting every Mexican restaurant in the tri-state area.
Oh boy.
But you can bring any medication that you need onto the grounds.
So what did you bring?
Oh, Metamucil, X-Lax, Fibercon. You see...
We now return you to the program in progress.
That was a comedy news break that was done in the 1990s on my radio show with a partner named Rogue. She and I went out. We did live comedy. We did a lot of stuff for benefits. A couple articles in the newspapers about us. Was WKER at one point, and it changed the call letters. So I just thought I'd throw that in for a little fun. From Tim Ramsdell of Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey. With the passing of Gene Shalit the past week at 100, I was wondering, was he aware of Gene Shellfish? Yes, he was. He liked it. He thought it was funny. He basically said that of anybody who did the parody of him, he liked ours the best. I met Gene Shalit twice. And Gene Shellfish I saw all the time. Also, did Charlie write those movie reviews himself? Yes. He actually wrote complete movie reviews when he went to see a movie. He wrote some pretty good reviews. He wrote pretty intelligent things, and we just started to get in on him because he was the new kid. He seemed legitimately annoyed sometimes that he couldn't get through his bit without getting pummeled. Well, I'm sure he did. I know he got annoyed. He actually flew off the handle once or twice. But he accepted it as being funny, and it's what Muggsy did. Muggsy started all that stuff. Muggsy was an insurrectionist within the cast. From Michael Lepowski, was there any part of character that either Floyd or you would have wanted to play? Floyd and I talked about this a lot. We were both interested in Broadway shows, and we had rewritten the shows in our minds with some of the cast members. For instance, we wanted to do Guys and Dolls at one point, where Floyd would have been Nathan Detroit, I would have been Nicely Johnson, Muggsy would have been Sky Masterson, and Skip Rooney would have been Big Julie. We wanted to do that. Floyd and I also discussed the possibility of going to a little theater group, and he and I actually doing a show of the Sunshine Boys, but nothing ever came of that. From Phil Pagliaro, I don't know how he wants that pronounced. On one of the earlier podcasts, you mentioned being a production assistant at Woodstock, and apparently Muggsy was there working too. This was pre-Uncle Floyd Show days. What was Muggsy's role at Woodstock? Did you know each other at that time, or was it just a coincidence that the two of you were working at the same event? Well, now you know why I got the idea for that bit from the Gordon and Rogue show. And I put it in there to get people thinking about Woodstock. Yeah, I was at the 1969 Woodstock. I never went to any of the other ones. I worked on the stage crew. I was selected when a gentleman saw me working on cars in a gas station where I was working at the time. And he asked me if I could do anything. I said, yeah, I can do lots of stuff. I was installing a stereo in the car. And he said, can you solder? I said, sure, I can solder. I was taught how to solder by Les Paul and his brother-in-law, Wally Kamen. There's a big story about that I've told on a previous podcast. And he said, yeah, you want to come and work? I said, sure. He said, I'll give you $25, which you can pay for food for the weekend. I'll pick you up here in an hour. So I went home and I got some clothes and I met him back there and went up and I worked on the stage crew. I was actually one of the guys handling the cables, fixing wires when a wire went down because I could solder, and I slept underneath the stage. Any behind-the-scenes stories or artist encounters that you can share? Like I said, I was on the stage crew. I met just about everybody who played there. My favorite one was Richie Valens. He was a lot of fun. And I'm still friends, casual friends, with Jurma Sultan, who was the guy who played the congas for Santana. That's a little bit background from Woodstock. I almost lost a page here. From Susie Tannenbaum. Were you and Floyd into game shows? If so, which ones? Of course, Floyd did the best imitation of Groucho when spoofing You Bet Your Life. I watch the game shows. I like the ones like, I don't know if you remember Treasure Island. I like Treasure Island. I like Beat the Clock when that was on. I also love Jeopardy. I still watch Jeopardy. I liked Wheel of Fortune. And any of the ones that had the contestants doing stupid stuff, I loved. Did you guys get inspiration from any particular game shows for skits on the Uncle Floyd Show? No, we just kind of made up our own, like The Stupid Show and Can You Eat That was another one. We come up with silly ideas and put it in a game show format. This is from Flo Kazarovsky. You probably have spoken about this before, but can you talk about you and Floyd meeting Muggsy for the first time? Muggsy came up to the station at Channel 68. He was working with a guy named Andy. It was Muggsy and Andy, and they were like a folk singing or parody singing duo working in the clubs around West Orange and East Orange, like Dodds. They came in, they said, we want to do a song. Floyd said, yeah, okay, and they did a song. From Dennis DeLeo again. If Floyd or even yourself had a choice of any celebrities that you wanted to appear on the show, who would it be? I'm sure Floyd would like to have Milton Berle, any of the old-timers on. I don't know about the modern performers. He accepted just about anybody he thought was good. Anybody who came with music, who came with a pre-recorded thing that Floyd thought was okay, he would put them on. Did Floyd ever consider asking Soupy to make an appearance? No, I don't think he ever did. I don't think he ever asked Soupy to come on. I don't think Soupy would have wanted to come on. Soupy at that time was no longer into doing that kind of stuff. Frank Nastasi had fun on the show. Yeah, Frank was a great guy. He was a lot of fun. A lot of people don't know it, but Frank Nastasi, like me, was a trained Shakespearean actor. He really knew theater. He was a great, great actor, and he could really put it over. From Ryan Tracy, a couple of questions here. Looks like he's got 3 or 4 questions. With so many family members being in the music industry, are or were the Vivino family gatherings like a concert? No, I don't remember them ever being like a concert. Everybody would do a little something, just to fool around. Like Floyd's cousin, Luigi Funicello, who is related to Annette Funicello. That's how Floyd got to be a member of the Funicello clan as well. If they played a guitar or played the piano or, did anything, they would do a little bit at a family get-together. Any chance of having any of Floyd's children on the podcast or rebooting Garage Sale Music with one or more of the children as co-hosts? They have not asked me if they wanted to be on here. I haven't asked them yet. So maybe we'll get them on here. We'll see what can happen. Now, these two are very interesting. Kinchley's or Nellie's Pizza, and why? I've been going to Kinchley's since 1963. When my family first moved to Mahwah, my father was a Bergen County police officer. He knew about Kinchley's, and he said, After we're moving a bunch of stuff one day, he says, let's go out for pizza. He took us to Kinchley's. And I've been going to Kinchley's ever since. I go at least once a month, and I love their pizza. Nellie's Pizza to me is a bit rubbery. So I have to stick with Kinchley's Pizza on that. Are you a craft beer drinker? I'm not that big a beer drinker. I drink a little bit of Dos Equis when I have Mexican food, and I don't go to any of the local breweries or bars. I really can't comment on that other than I'm not that much of a beer drinker. I like bourbon, I like wine, and that's basically it. From Stephen Gallo of Brooklyn, New York. Floyd was an absolutely phenomenal piano player. I was wondering, did he ever guess just how many songs he knew how to play and sing? No. Floyd had this talent. He could hear a song one time and play it on the piano. He just instinctively knew how to play it. I don't understand how it works, but I saw him do it. Listen to a recording by somebody and say, oh yeah, I can do that, and sit down and play it. And finally, from Dominic Nunziano, who's down in Virginia, formerly from Long Island. Do you know if Floyd ever played the Chuck Berry song, You Can Never Tell? I could see him crushing that song. I don't know if he ever played it. I assume since he knew the song and knew of the song, he probably could. Like I said, he would listen to a song once and he could play it. It was just amazing. That's going to do it for this week. I think we had a lot of fun, and I hope you had a lot of fun. Please send in some more questions. We need questions for next week. Send them in right now, as soon as you can think of them. If I made you think of anything you want to ask, sit down at the computer and type it in there and send it to ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. That's ufpodcast@sge-inc.com. And I will answer it, just like I did all of these. If you sent one before and you don't think I didn't answer it completely enough, send it again and say, hey, elaborate. Or use some other fancy word that I don't understand. Now, remember, every Tuesday night at 8, we have a date. Come to see clips of the old show. If you're not that familiar with it, come on down. Listen to it. Come watch the show. I host it live. I answer questions there about the sketches that are on the show. And we have fun. It's every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You get there by going to theunclefloydshow.tv. That's theunclefloydshow.tv. Takes you right to it. It costs $5 to see it, but it's worth it. That helps pay for this podcast and that show. It's what keeps us on the air. I don't work that much anymore. I have Social Security coming in, but that just basically pays for food and housing. So please, go to that show. That helps support this. Listening to this, great. I'm glad you're here. But go to theunclefloydshow.tv and help us out. Floyd always said, you guys are the most important thing to any show, you, the audience. Without you, this wouldn't happen. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing this. It would make no sense whatsoever. So please, enjoy it. Tell your friends. Tell your friends about this. Tell them about this Was the Uncle Floyd Show every Tuesday night at 8. Come on down. Have a great time. Laugh. Forget your troubles. Floyd was always so touched that you guys still like to watch this stuff, like to listen to us talk, play music, and just have fun. That's what it's about. Thank you so much for being here. And to close out, here's Floyd and the Vivino Brothers Band with a little up-tempo stuff to brighten your day.
When the saints
This program was produced in the studios of Scott Gordon Enterprises, Incorporated in Paramus, New Jersey.